Is it rich when Sammy the Bull says that you should feel bad for putting people in prison when he got immunity for putting everybody in prison?
I'm not going to comment on that, Brian.
But he doesn't see it that way.
Yeah.
And again, I find Sammy to be a fascinating character.
He is.
And the fact that he's on YouTube able to talk about this life, it's almost something that defies reality.
He's a great storyteller. He's kind of a charismatic guy in his own way. And he's likable. People say, oh, Michael, he's still a likable guy. I like him.
Right.
I like him a lot. And, like I said, I think we'll do some more things together.
The other thing I think you reminded him of was, Sammy, you got immunity for everything that you talked about. And so you did it. I'm over here and I did, talked about these specific things I did. We're like two opposite sides of the spectrum of where we are from a legal perspective and everything else.
Yes, but Brian, I don't have immunity for any of that. Nothing. I can't, whatever I did, I can't, there's certain things I won't talk about. And not only that, there's certain things I did nobody else knows about except my family, the guys close to me. We don't do something and go tell everybody about it. It's like we talked about with my dad. But so you have no idea what I did. No, you hear certain things, but you don't know what I did. And I don't know what you did except for the fact that it's public now. Otherwise, I wouldn't ask you what you did. I wouldn't know. How would you know that? So, but look, like I said, we clashed during that thing. I understood it. And it's over now. We said to each other, we had a discussion. I said, Sammy, look, you're a real guy. You went through the war. In my way, I'm a real guy. I went through the war. We had different circumstances and certain things. You did your time in prison. I did my time. We both left the life under different circumstances. I said, but we're the real guys. We know the life. I said, and part of our life is getting along. And we agreed with this with each other. From now on, we're going to get along. They saw what they saw. They understand their feelings. Now we do things to get along, and that's how it's going to, proceed with things that we do.
And there's only a handful of you guys left, and you're in your 70s, and ultimately it makes sense that you and Sammy get along because there's not many guys like you.
No. You
two can even relate to.
No, I mean. Look, there's guys on YouTube, and I don't.
What about the YouTube gangsters? Because we see them now coming out of the woodwork, and they have these YouTube channels, and they're trying to tell the stories, and feel like they're trying to be Sammy or trying to be you. What do you make of this YouTube gangster phenomenon?
I don't even know these guys. I met recently Anthony Ruggiano. I want to mention his name. Nice guy. Knew his father very well. Real guy, 100% for real. And he's coming on and he's talking. Look. YouTube is a platform. If you want to get on it and you succeed, more power to you. You have a story to tell. People are interested in you. Hey, God bless you. Do it, right? Anthony Ruggiano, real guy. Larry Mazza, I had a meeting with him. I didn't know him on the street. These guys came in. They came in after me. Nice guy. I'm probably going to do something with him, with Larry. I think really. Bobby Luisi. I don't know if you see, he's a guy out of Philadelphia and Boston. Okay. Yeah, nice guy. He's a Christian now, turned his life around. These are nice guys. They're all on YouTube trying to do something. I support them. There's no reason for us to fight with one another. I didn't know them. They didn't know me on the street. What are we going to fight about? It doesn't make sense. Some of these other guys, I never heard of them. I have no idea. Guys are talking about me, this, that. You don't pay attention to that,
Does it ever shock you that you came from a world of omerta and now it's the world of YouTube where everyone tries to talk about all the stuff they used to do, whereas before you'd have to have a wiretap and 20 agents to get one of those things, and now everyone seems to tell stories publicly. You must look at that and think the whole world's off its rocker.
Yes, absolutely. Who would have thought? I never predicted that I would be on YouTube, Sammy on YouTube. Who ever knew this, And again, it just happened. It wasn't like, okay, at least in my case, the reason I got on YouTube, because during the pandemic, I lost 42 or 43 speaking dates were postponed. So I'm home now for the first time in 20 years. I'm not traveling, doing every other week. And I'm actually enjoying it. My wife and I, we got to spend more time together. It was nice. And then my team said, well, Michael, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. Why don't you start a YouTube channel? YouTube? For what, right? I never even looked at YouTube that much. And somebody had started a channel for me 7 years ago. I never even went on it. My own channel. I never did anything on it, Brian. Nothing. I said, I don't want to be a bother with YouTube. And then we did it, and we got very fortunate. You know, people were attracted to it. And so now we continue it. But I learned one thing, and I think you'll know this, Brian. YouTube is the major platform in the world. I mean, I get noticed in airports now, everywhere. And I did a lot of stuff in my life, but YouTube, entirely different.
Yeah, it's the second largest search engine in the world, owned by the largest search engine in the world. Again, you know, I'd argue one of the great rackets in the world, and they have all the eyeballs. And
yes.
People love a real experience on YouTube, and they love to make personal connections. And I used to say 10 years ago when I started, and I think I mentioned this to your wife when she was here, I used to say we don't really know what YouTube is. It feels like television on the internet, but it's not. Right. You're actually building a whole different relationship with people, and they get to see who Michael is, who really Michael is. Yeah. And they don't have to wait for an article to be written about you or someone to say something about you, or, you know, it's like they can really get to know who you are, and dare I say, Michael, they can feel who you are from an emotional standpoint.
Yeah, it's true, Brian. Yeah. You know, and you know, look, I have a lot to tell through my time there, but, you know, what I try to do is, it's not all about, they want to hear mob stories, I get it, but it's also how you relate life to, look, we all come from a different perspective in life. My perspective still comes from a mob life, because it was so much a part of me, my mentality and everything else, so I could talk about things coming from that perspective. But I also want to leave people, I want to encourage them. You know, I want to try to inform them. I have an opinion about things, I have a perspective. And so I try to use whatever content I'm putting in there to try to, again, encourage people, tell them my perspective, give them what I perceive to be right from wrong. And it's working for me. I think people enjoy that. You know, when I get on stage, I think you'll see this when you come to the show, and the Q&A afterwards, there's more stuff about my personal life, my wife, my children, how I made this transformation. Michael, how did you forgive yourself? A lot of people that come in to sit in a room got their own baggage that they're carrying. And it's very powerful when people understand, after they hear the story, that I was able to come out of a very bad situation and survive and prosper in a way. That's attractive to people, because they want to do it in their life. And what I tell people is straight, I say, listen, at one point in time, there's 1,000 people here, I was the worst guy in the room. The worst guy in the room. So don't tell me I made a change. If I can do it, what are you worried about? Of course you can. It's very encouraging to people. And it's true. Yeah. I'm not saying it's the absolute truth. Brian, I've seen people come out of situations, put mine to shame, that they should be so congratulated on how they were able to overcome obstacles and circumstances, really. You know, to me, to others looking at me, it's like, wow, Michael, and I understand that. But to me, looking at others, I'm in awe. So a lot of people have been able to do this. You got to be determined. You got to surround yourself with the right people. And for me, it's a faith God thing. I believe God has had a different plan and a purpose for my life. Made that very clear. I'm not perfect. I still do things wrong, but my intent is right.